Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 6 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password is provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 6 and then click on view all lessons. So there you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter probability. And the lessons we're going to cover from the chapter are probability of opposite mutually exclusive and overlapping events. Compound event, find the number of outcomes by counting. Identify dependent and independent events. Probability of dependent and independent events, right? So let's just start with the first lesson. Here I'm on grade 6 math. The chapter is probability. Let's just start with the lesson probability of opposite mutually exclusive and overlapping events. You roll a six-sided die. What is the probability of not even, right? Not even means odd, right? First, let's just calculate the probability of even, right? So on a die, you have six numbers, 1 to 6, right? The even numbers are 2, 4, and 6. So the probability of even is 3 over 6. You have to calculate the probability of not even. You have to subtract 1 minus probability. 1 is the probability of all the even, right? You have to subtract the probability of even, that is 3 by 6. So 1 minus 3 by 6 is 3 by 6. You have to convert the answer into percentage form. So 3 by 6 equals 50%. That means 50% of the number on a die are even and 50% are the odd, right? Okay, you flip a coin. What is the probability of not tails? Not tails mean probability of head, right? You can make it easy. But first you have to calculate the probability of head. First you have to calculate the probability of tail. We know that the probability of tail is 1 over 2, right? Then probability of not tail is 1 minus 1 over 2. 1 minus 1 over 2 is 1 over 2. When you convert it into percentage form, that would be 50%, right? Okay, the next one is you spin the spinner once. What is the probability of not orange? Let's just calculate the probability of orange. How many portions are orange? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them are orange and out of 9, right? So the probability of orange is 4 out of 9. And probability of not orange is 1 minus probability of orange, right? 1 minus probability of orange is 5 over 9. Let's just start with the practice questions. You flip a coin. What is probability of not tails? You have to calculate the probability of not tails. Right? Whenever you flip a coin, you have only two options, right? They are either head or tail. Let's just calculate the probability of tail. It is 1 over 2, right? Then probability of not tail is 1 minus 1 over 2. 1 minus 1 over 2 is 1 over 2. And when you convert the answer into percentage, it would be 1 over 2 times 100, and that equals 50%. That means probability of not tails is very good. That would be 50%. You spin the spinner once. What is the probability of not pink? So, which is the correct option? The probability of pink is 1 out of 10, right? The not pink is 1 minus 1 over 10, right? That would be 9 over 10, and yes, that would be 90%. Very good. Okay, you spin the spinner once. What is the probability of not 6? Which is the correct option? Which is the correct option? What is the probability of not 6? Probability of 6 is 1 over 6, right? And not 6 is 1 minus 1 over 6. So 1 minus 1 over 6 equals, yes, that is 5 over 6. Very good. You roll a 6-sided die. What is the probability of not even? Which is the correct option? On a die, you have 6 numbers, right? 3 of them are even and 3 of them are odd. So which is the correct option? The correct option is 50%. Not even is 50. You pick a card at random. What is the probability of not green? Which is the correct option? Which is the correct option? 2 of the cards are green, right? 2 out of 8 is probability of green. The not green would be 6 out of 8, right? It would be 75%. 6 out of 8 times 100 is 75%. You pick a card at random. What is the probability not greater than 5? Which is the correct option? It would be 3 over 8. Not greater than 5. You have three numbers that are not greater than 5, right? Let me see what's wrong with the question. It would be 1 over 2. Not greater than 5. You have just three numbers that are not greater than 5. Greater than, probability of not greater than 5. You have four numbers that are greater than 5. 1 minus 4 over 8. Okay, yes, that would be 1 over 2. But not equal to 5. They said 5 is not included. You pick a card at random. What is the probability of not greater than 5? Which is the correct option? Mm-hmm. Only one number that is not greater than 5. 5, right? So 1 over 5. That would be 20%, not 40. Isn't it? Probability of not purple. Which is the correct option? Which is the correct option? It would be 4 over 6, right? And you can write in simplified form, that would be 2 over 3. You spin the spinner once. What is the probability of not odd? You can see there are 8 numbers on the spinner from 1 to 8, right? 4 of them are even and 4 of them are odd and 4 of them are not odd. So the correct option is 1 over 2. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is events finding numbers of outcomes by counting. Okay, you pick a card and roll a die. How many outcomes are possible? So now there are two different events, right? You have to calculate their probability collectively. So first just calculate their outcomes separately, right? You have four cards. So here you have four outcomes. Here you have six numbers on the die, right? So you have to do 4 times 6. The total outcomes for the cards are 4 and for the die are 6. So you have to do, for the total outcomes, you need to calculate the total outcomes. You have to do 6 times 4. That would be 24. Okay. Spin the spinner and roll a die. How many outcomes are possible? So you have two options for the spinner, right? Two outcomes for the spinner and six outcomes for the die. You have to calculate the total outcomes. So you have to do 6 times 12. That means 6 times 2. That means 12. Let's just start with the practice questions. You spin the spinner and pick a card. How many outcomes are possible? Which is the correct option? You have two outcomes from the spinner and four outcomes for the card. So 2 times 4 makes 8. The correct option is you spin the spinner and pick a card. How many outcomes are possible? So which is the correct option? You have two outcomes for the spinner and 8 for the card, right? So you have to do 8 times 2. 8 times 2 is 16. The correct option is 16. You pick a card and spin the spinner. How many outcomes are possible? So for the card, you have three outcomes, and for the spinner, they are four, right? So you have to do 3 times 4. That means it is 12. The correct option is 12. You pick a card and spin the spinner. How many outcomes are possible? So which is the correct option? You have five outcomes for card, right? And three for spinner. So you have to do 5 times 3. 5 times 3 makes 15. So the total outcomes are 15. How many you roll a die and pick a marble? How many outcomes are possible? Which is the correct option? When you roll a die, you have six outcomes, and for the marbles, you have just two outcomes. So 6 times 2 is 12. The correct option is 12. You pick a card and spin the spinner. How many outcomes are possible? Which is the correct option? For cards, you have four outcomes, and for spinner, you also have four outcomes. So you have to do 4 times 4, that makes 16. The correct option is 16. You roll a die and flip a coin. How many outcomes are possible? When you roll a die, you have six outcomes, right? And for a coin, you have two. So the correct option is 12. You spin the spinner and pick a marble. How many outcomes are possible? Which is the correct option? Yes, 6 times 2 is 12. You flip a coin and pick a card. How many outcomes are possible? So, which is the correct option? The correct option is 6. You have 3 outcomes for card and 2 for coin. So, that would be 6. You pick a marble and spin the spinner. How many outcomes are possible? It would be 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. The correct option is 12. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let's just start with the next lesson, that is identify dependent and independent events. Okay, you have two events given. Irene and her brother take a numbered spinner from a board game and use it to determine who will get to play with their new puppy first. Irene spins and then her brother does. So there are two different events, right? When Irene spins, he have two options, right? Either he will get a time to play with puppy or no. When her brother spins, he have two options. Either he will get a time to play. So they both the events are independent, right? Independent events mean if the outcome of an event is not affected by the outcome of the other event, then the events are independent. A piano teacher is assisting her students in selecting songs to perform at recital. She does not want any duplicates on the program. Kira chooses a song and then Lexi does. Are these even independent or dependent? They are dependent even, right? Like for example, if you have four songs, I selected one. Now it's your turn. You have now three options, not the total, right? So I selected one. When it's the list is in your is with you, you have now just three options because I have already selected one, right? So that means that are the dependent events. Let's just start with the practice questions. Justin pick a card at random. Without putting the card back, he picks a second card at random. How are these two events dependent or independent? Okay, for the first time, he have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards, right? He has 7 options to choose from. She picked a card without putting the card back. Now, out of 7, he have now 6 cards, right? That means they are the dependent events because for the first time you have 7 options, for the second time you have just 5 options, so they are dependent events. The correct option is dependent. Jennifer picks a card at random, put it back, and then picks another card at random. Are these two events dependent or independent? Okay, she picked a card once, right? From the three cards, she picked one. She put back then, right? Again, she have three cards. So they are independent events, right? For the both times, she have three outcomes, so they are independent events, right? So the correct option is independent. Tara pulls a coin out of her pocket and place it on the table. Then she reach back into her pocket and take out a second coin. Are these two even independent or dependent? So which is the correct option? They are dependent event, right? First time Tara pulls a coin out of pocket. You have just one coin on the table, right? For the second time, he took another. So they are dependent events. Aaron spins the spinner twice. Are these two events dependent or independent? They are independent events, right? Because it doesn't matter when you spin for the first time, you have six outcomes. When you spin for the second time, you have the same outcome. So it would be independent. Dean and Christopher see a movie together. Dean picks a chair first, then Christopher does. They are dependent events, right? Because Dean picked a chair first. For the Christopher, you have one less options. Without looking, Harry chooses a colored marble from a mixed bag of marbles. Write down the color and return it to the bag. Then he draw another marble without looking. So which is the correct option? They are independent events, right? He picked marble, then put it back. So for the second time, you have same marbles in the bag. So they are independent events. Students in a composition class may select certain topics on which to write an essay. Repeats are allowed and they do not need to inform the teacher of their choices prior to the due date of the essay. So, are these two events dependent or independent? Because the repeats are allowed, right? That means they are the dependent events. Two of the students may have same lesson, so this is the independent, right? They do not have to declare. Repeats are allowed and also they do not have to declare. So that would be dependent. Leah and Amanda are picking teams for a game of basketball. Leah chooses first and then it's Amanda's turn to pick. They are dependent events because Leah chooses first. For Amanda, you have one less option, so they are dependent events. Spins a spinner at the same time. Sam rolls a 20 sided die. So, which is the correct option? They are independent. They are two different events, right? So they are independent. A customer purchases a lottery ticket that requires him to select six numbers. A few minutes later, another customer purchases a ticket also choosing six numbers. So they are dependent events, right? Independent. Yes, the choices of number of first customer has no effect on the second customer. So they are independent events. Mario picks a marble at random, put it back, then pick marble another another marble at random. Are these two events or independent? They are independent event, right? The probability, the outcomes of the first event and the second event are exactly same. Michael is shopping for a wedding gift for his friends, who was registered at a department store. Some of these items on the registry have already been purchased by our wedding guest. Are these two events dependent or independent? They are independent, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by dependent. Okay, because you are registered and some of the items already purchased, so they are dependent, right? Complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let's just start with the next lesson. And the next lesson is probability of dependent and independent events. Okay, you spin the spinner twice. What is the probability of blue and orange? So probability of blue is 2 out of 9 and probability of orange is 7 out of 9, right? The probability of blue and orange are independent. So the probability of blue is 2 out of probability of orange is 7 out of 9. So you have to multiply both the probabilities, right? It would be 7 times 2 is 14 and that would be 14 over 81, right? You pick a card at random, put it back and then pick another card. What is p less than 3? Okay, how many numbers less than 3 you have? Only one number that is less than 3, right? So the probability of less than 3 is 1 out of 4 and odd you have two odd numbers that would be 2 over 4. Probability of less than 3 is 1 over 4 and the probability of odd is 2 over 4. You have to multiply both the probabilities, right? That would be 2 times 1 is 2 and 2 over 16. You can write in the simplest form it is 1 over 8, right? Let's just start with the practice questions. You pick a you pick a marble at random. Without putting the first marble back, you pick another marble at second marble at random. What is the probability of orange and orange? Okay, if you select orange for the first time, you have two options, right? 2 out of 8, right? For the second time, this one, because you didn't put back, this one you already selected, right? For the second time for orange, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have now 7 options, and just one of them is orange. So just multiply both the probabilities. That would be 2 over 8 times 1 over 7. 2 times 1 is 2, 4 is 8, so it would be 1 over 28. The correct option is 1 over 28, right? You roll a six-sided die 2 times. The probability of 3 and the probability of 3 is 1 out of 6, right? Because on dice you have 6 options. And probability of 6 is also 1 over 6. So your probability of 3 and probability of 6 is you have to multiply both the probabilities. It would be 1 over 6 times 1 over 6 times 1 over 36, right? So the correct option is 36. You spin the spinner twice. Probability of yellow and probability of green. Okay, probability of yellow is 3 of them are yellow. 3 out of 6. Probability of green is 2 out of 6, right? Just multiply both the probabilities. 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6. So you are left with 1 times 1 and 3 times 2 is 6. It would be 1 over 6. Correct option is 1 over 6. You pick a card at random without putting the card back. Okay. You have to calculate the probability of orange and orange. For the first time, you have how many? 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Out of the 12 cards, you have 7 out of 12. You, without putting card, for example, you didn't put back, right? Now you have 11 options. And out of the 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them is right. So for the probability of orange and orange, you have to just multiply 7 over 10 times 6 over 11. 6 times 1 is 2, 6 times 2 is 12, so it would be 7 times 1 is 7 and 11 times 2 is it is 7 over 22. The correct option is 7 over 22. You flip a coin twice. What is the probability of tail? Tail is 1 over 2. Second time it is also 1 over 2. So the probability of tail and tail is 1 over 2 times 1 over 2. That would be 1 over 4. That would be 1 over 4. You pick a marble at random, put it back, then pick another marble at random. What is the probability of blue? Okay, for the first time it would be 2 out of 6. You put it back, right? Again you have 2 out of 6. That would be 1 over 9, right? The correct option is 1 over 9. You spin the spinner twice. What is the probability of even and probability of 3? Probability of even is 2 of the numbers are even. 2 out of 4. Probability of 3 is 1 out of 4. Probability of even is 2 out of 4. 3 is 1 out of 4. So just calculate both the probabilities. That would be 2 over 4 times 1 over 4. It would be 1 over 8. The correct option is 1 over 8. Right? Okay, you pick a card at random without putting the first card back. Okay, for the first time, probability of green is 2 out of 3. And purple is 1 out of 3. 1 out of 2 without putting the first card back, right? For the first time, you have 3 options. So it would be, for green, it is 2 over 3. For purple, it is 1 out of 2, right? So just multiply. 2 and 2 cancel out, you are left with 1 over 3. So the correct option is 1 over. Okay, we are done with the lesson. You can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So we were working on grade 6 maths. The chapter we're working on is probability. The lessons we have covered today are probability of opposite mutually exclusive and overlapping events. Then compound events, find the number of outcomes by counting. Identify dependent and independent events. Probability of dependent and independent events. So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the test questions for the lessons we did today. So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday, 5 to 9. So that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye everyone.